Look at the price of gas now! It's $7.55 a gallon! Hey Putin, we're sending you a bill!
Time to talk about red flag laws and why it is that they are so freaking bad and why it is that they are in fact the most unconstitutional of all gun laws. So guys, make sure you guys stick around for this entire video. Now guys, before we dive in this video, I'm going to let you guys know what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking a little bit about the constitutionality of these red flag laws and why they are so bad and why they're so unconstitutional. We're going to be talking about the risk. And we're also going to be talking about the previous president versus the new guy that they want to push out. And let's see if there are any different between the two. Of course, we're going to be talking about that towards the end of the video. So like I said before, guys, make sure you guys stick around for the full video. Now, guys, first and foremost, a red flag law. And by the way, there's over 22,000 gun laws on the books, and every single one of them are unconstitutional, in my opinion. I mean, these issues get argued all the time. I think that Colion Noir is probably the best at it, but here I am talking about this issue. And, of course, this is not normally my source material, my source content for this channel. It's supposed to be military driven. But I still want to talk about this because these type of things will come up in later videos. But, guys, first of all, it is a violation of your Fourth Amendment right. It would never, ever pass on the federal level. Now, let me put it this way here. The Fourth Amendment essentially guarantees you the right to no unlawful search and seizure. It's also a violation of your Fifth Amendment rights. Now, many people, when they think about the Fifth Amendment, they think about pleading the Fifth. They think about your right to not self-incriminate. The thing is this right here, though. The Fifth Amendment also includes another provision in it, which is, by the way, your right to due process. So think about it right quick. Somebody calls, says that Johnny or Tommy over there is a suicide risk. He's a danger to himself or others, may or may not be. Cops show up. Next thing you know, you're in a shootout. This guy right here doesn't want to give up his weapon. You see, you just made a situation 10 times worse. And by the way, they can be abused, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. So anytime you see a tweet like this right from Ben Shapiro, controlled opposition, by the way, when he says that he's not opposed to red flag laws in theory, and then, of course, you see Eric Swalwell basically kind of clamp down saying that this right can be used against political enemies, I want people to understand that I think that Ben Shapiro should be saying, no freaking way. No red flag laws, period. Like I said, controlled opposition. I know I cite the Daily Wire from time to time on my main channel, but Ben Shapiro is somebody that I've never really and truly been able to like because I've always believed he was controlled opposition. We'll get back to Shapiro here in a second, because he's going to come up, of course, when we talk about our options in 2024 as far as Ronnie or Donnie is concerned. But as you guys can see, they can be abused, okay? Somebody could call, say, look, man, I think my ex-husband, I think he's a risk, but of course he may not be. I could tell you guys some personal stories from my past and things that I have seen. I'm not going to do that here, but as you guys can see, you might get a case where you might think somebody is a suicide risk when in fact they are not a suicide risk. A cop show up and it could escalate and make matters 10 times worse. I understand. You may want to prevent a crisis, but what if this right here is coming from an ex? Is it possible that said person could be vindictive? I mean, look, I love women, but let's face it, there are some trifling bitches out there. Let's just go ahead and be honest. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm telling the truth. There's also some scumbag men out there. I figure I'd go ahead and throw that out there as well. But obviously, you see the political ramifications of the fact that they could be used against political opponents. Let's say your next door neighbor is a leftist, or hell, your next door neighbor could be a friggin' Trumper. It could be a right. It could be someone on the conservative spectrum. And maybe you're a liberal, or maybe you're a moderate, and let's just say you disagree about something. Maybe you've been disagreeing with your neighbor on something for the next 2 or 3 days. I mean, what says said individual can't say that I think my neighbor is a nut, they own a bunch of guns, and I think they're going to go shoot somebody? The threat level is not exactly credible. Now, guys, it was Steven Crowder who made this point here, that if you're going to have a red flag law, then you need to have a law in place to arrest said individual who abuses red flag law or calls in false claims, like an ex-wife. Now, guys, like I said, I don't like red flag laws, but I will go ahead and say this right here. If by some odd chance one ever got passed, you better have that provision in there, or else I'm going to be out there protesting every single day to get you unelected from office. I'm going to be working my way to get you out of office, okay? Just like I said, red flag laws should not ever be signed into law. They're extremely unconstitutional. They're very, very dangerous. And, of course, as I said before, they can be used by anybody who just has the slightest of a grudge. They could be used and abused, and this right could lead to more deaths and more crisis intervention issues that, quite frankly, may be unnecessary because people don't know how to get along and people don't know how to shut the fuck up about the past. This right here brings me to the second part of this video. Okay, there's been a lot of things being floated out there about 2024. I'm pretty sure we all know the political environment, the massive inflation is going to lead to Republicans more than likely taking back the House and the Senate. Joe Biden is currently in a very, very weak position. At this moment in time, you've got Kamala Harris heading up into the censorship board. At the same time, they're trying to replace Joe Biden in 2024. And the thing is, this right here is what kind of bothers me. Right now, we're kind of down to two people as far as the Republican ticket is concerned that have either A, we trust, or B, have not yet been exposed. There's not that many of them, let's face it. Cruz is not a good choice. Rand Paul's probably, I'd say, is a solid choice, but he's probably not going to have the apparatus to run. Tom Cotton, I don't trust him. He's a rhino. Tim Scott's a rhino. That leaves us with Trump or DeSantis, Ronnie or Donnie. Now, guys, as a guy who voted for Trump, I understand his flaws. Okay, I get accused of being just a pro-Trump guy on my channel all the time. I voted for the guy twice, but I'm not an ardent supporter of his. I do think that one term of him as a reform term would be a good idea, but Ron DeSantis obviously does a better job at fighting the culture war. And then, of course, I had to remind myself and go through the past about their previous stances on red flag laws. Let's go ahead and roll this.
We must make sure that those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety do not have access to firearms, and that if they do, those firearms can be taken through rapid due process. That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders.
Or holding people accountable just for speech. It really requires incitement or to be a threat.
If there is a threat, there are options. Florida's red flag laws can take away your guns temporarily if you made a credible threat. Many, including the governor, are behind it.
But I just want us to be responsive to that. And the vast majority of these incidences have had red flags. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas report made that clear. So I think we need to identify that and do something about it.
Last week, Florida launched a threat assessment portal for schools and law enforcement to share information which will be confidential. And a statewide app called Fortify Florida allows anyone to report suspicious activity anonymously. In Tampa, Jennifer Holton, Fox 13 News.
Included both clips for a reason. Now, guys, you saw the one that Trump had. Of course, this was back in 2019. And Ron DeSantis, of course, he actually signed red flag laws into law in the state of Florida. I did not know this until recently. Not only did he sign it into law, Ron champions it. Now, guys, I don't think that DeSantis is one of those guys who's, say, a fascist or anything like that. Rather, would try to get rid of his political opponents in said manner. But then again, though, on the Parental Rights Act, I almost call it the "Don't Say Gay" bill because the left is kind of. By the way, guys, really quick, don't use the words that the left use. Okay, I know I almost broke my own rule there, but here's the thing: I did not think he went far enough. Okay, but yet you signed red flag laws after Stoneman Douglas, and you champion them because they're great. Okay, am I missing something here? I mean, this right here has kind of got me skeptical about Ron DeSantis going forward in 2024. Don't worry, guys. I'll be providing the solution here in a second. So go back to what I said about Ben Shapiro. The Daily Wire crew is pushing Ron DeSantis more than anybody. Ben Shapiro already told you he's not objecting to red flag laws in theory. But then again, though, at the same time, he also proved that red flag laws can be abused by Democrats against Republicans the same way Republicans can use it against Democrats. I'm trying to come off as an absolute centrist here rather than just an actual conservative. But here's the thing. When they push him out there, especially given the fact that Ron is only ahead in one set poll, a Colorado straw poll, it makes me kind of weary of what their actual intentions are going to be down the road. Now, like I said, I've cited Daily Wire before, and I do think they do good work when it comes to social issues. But when it comes to policy, I'm not so sure about little Ben. Now to Donnie. Now that I already got that portion right there out of the air, let's talk about Donald Trump for a second. Now, many people have been saying that Trump sent tweets out like, go get the guns, we'll go to court later. Things like that right there. Ask questions later. Okay, I'm not a fan of that, okay? I'm not a fan of that at all. As a matter of fact, it's what almost made me stay home in 2020. Okay, the only real reason why I even went out there as determined as I did to vote for Trump in 2020 was to keep a radical leftist agenda from coming in. But Donald Trump at that time was open to red flag laws. And, of course, we found out later on what the hell was really going on was that he had Ivanka Trump, who, by the way, was a registered Democrat until 2020. He had her in the White House with him, his daughter, and she was telling him with Jared Kushner, another very, very slimy individual, in my opinion, that I cannot trust, very snaky type, I don't trust him. They had it in there advising him to sign red flag laws. Okay, so basically that means that Trump, if he kept that out of the White House, he might not push that. But then again, though, there was another thing that, quite frankly, kept Trump from doing that. And I know, and don't worry, we'll get to the bump stock ban. There was another thing that kept Donald Trump from actually doing it. That right there would be the fact that Fredo Cuomo, did the whole, I'm going to throw you down the freaking steps. And said, well, Trump sent out a tweet saying, who the hell would give that guy a gun? Within seconds of Donald Trump sending out that tweet, Dana Lash immediately retweeted that tweet and said, do you guys see how dangerous a red flag law can be when put in the hands of the improper people? Trump immediately backed up from that. He immediately said to himself, all right, okay, look, this is going to hurt me politically. I don't want to do that. By the way, if Trump was to get elected, it would be a one-term proposition, and it would basically be a reform term, and I think he would focus on the economy. Something also tells me that the crop of Republicans that we're putting in there, we're trying to get all these rhinos out. Something tells me that this right here might not come up in the future. Now, about that bump stock ban. The bump stock ban was signed into law. Now, me personally, I did not like it. I thought it was a very, very dangerous executive order, but at the same time, though, I think Trump kind of already knew that said bump stock ban was going to get struck down by a lower court, because it eventually would get struck down by a lower court because it was unconstitutional. Basically, it was something to satisfy the media at the time, and it was completely political, and I'm pretty sure he knew that friggin' it was going to get shot down. But guys, I want to go ahead and end the video on this note right here and give you guys a bit of a solution to this problem. Okay, politicians have this habit of getting more and more power hungry. Okay, we've been losing our society as a constitutional society. We've been losing our rights, or we've had some laws put up against us for years. I mean, just anything and everything to restrict our rights. It's been going on since post-World War II. And my solution to this right here, and of course we're bringing up Ben Shapiro again, because he's talked about a convention of states, but anytime somebody says anything about a convention of states, he always backs down. Now, really quick, this is what a convention of states is. The Constitution provides that if 66 chambers of government, 66 chambers of legislation on the state level, if there are 66 actual chambers, meaning the House and the Senate, okay, each state. Right now, Republicans have 63. If that is to occur, they can get together and hold a convention of the states, and they can actually change the Constitution or even re-amend it or strengthen it. The normal total you want to go for is 3/4. As a matter of fact, that's the real reason why the Democratic Party probably flipped that as bad as they did with Trump, because they knew he had awakened enough in the society to where they would be able to, at some point in time, possibly pull off a convention of states. Now, guys, I am a proponent of this because I think it needs to happen. This is one of the reasons why I prefer to listen to the old hats. I mean, go ahead and call me a rhino con if you want to. I don't care. But I prefer to listen to Dinesh D'Souza. I prefer to listen to Mark Levin. I prefer to listen to Mike Huckabee. I prefer to listen to Sean. I prefer to listen to those guys there. And, of course, I also prefer to listen to other YouTube personalities not named Ben Shapiro. Of course, that being Steven Crowder. You guys may not like Crowder, but, of course, I think you guys know where I'm going at with this. The thing is this right here. A convention of states could very, very well put an end to any type of red flag law nonsense. This is one of the reasons why I think it's probably better off that you bring in the guy who brings the actual turnout, which, of course, is Trump. Because you're going to be winning all these districts in the future. Even if you may not like him or not, it's about creating the environment to give us a convention of states, signing off on it, and actually getting it done. Because a convention of states could put a stop to any types of red flag laws going forward in our future as a society. Guys, John Claymore here, Gear Issue 33. I know I'm changing the name tomorrow morning. I just wanted to go ahead and throw this video out here and give you guys my thoughts. If you guys like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you guys later.
In other words, it's a huge shit sandwich and we're all gonna have to take a bite.
Sir, does this mean that Aunt Margaret's not coming?